With Julian Sayin at quarterback, Ohio State can stick to the formula that's already made its offense one of the best in the country.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, we will discuss Ryan Day's mission for Julian Sayin during the Week 1 showdown with Texas, as well as some clarity they provided about the Buckeyes depth chart. But first, one thing we are grown accustomed to with Ryan Day leading the Buckeyes is that the quarterback is going to put a premium on throwing the football and being able to make all the throws, being consistent, having a command of the offense, and being in control when they're on the field. Ryan Day doesn't really push having a dual threat quarterback. Now, he's had dual threat quarterbacks and Fields and Howard. However, they haven't really utilized their legs. They have been guys that have done the damage with their arms. And for Sayin this year, he is the quarterback on the team that gives the Buckeyes the best opportunity to stick to the winning formula, be an accurate passer, being able to be poised in the pocket, to get the ball out quickly and accurately over and over and over again. That guy is Sayin, and he's not going to try and reinvent anything this year. He is just going to stick to the formula that Ryan Day has already laid out throughout his previous years leading the Buckeyes. And while Sayin is QB1, he is just following in the footsteps of previous quarterbacks so that he can keep Ohio State's offense to be one of the best in the country. And I believe Sayin's a guy. I mean, we have said that. We had an instant reaction show yesterday that came out as soon as Ryan Day named the announcement. That show was published because that is some big boy news. You got to realize that when Ryan Day says you're the starting quarterback, there's a big old X on your back. But also, the pressure is on. As if there wasn't pressure previously, the pressure is ramped up as high as it can go because all eyes are on you. Think about Justin Fields in 2019 when he transferred from Georgia to Ohio State. Got a little homesick when he first got to campus, talked to his dad, talked to people in the circle. He figured everything out and got to be able to hang out with his teammates a little bit more and really got acclimated to Ohio State's way of things pretty quickly. But when Fields got to Ohio State, everyone knew he was a freaky athlete. I mean, one of those guys you dream of or that you may put in a makeup, in a creative player, in a college football video game. That was Justin Fields. Fast young man. But when he got to Ohio State, he didn't try to tap into his legs. No, he utilized his arm and put a premium on accuracy, arm strength, arm talent, getting the ball out quick. Now, while Fields did hold on to the ball a little bit too long, not a little bit too long, he held on to the ball too long, Fields was still the right man for the job, and he was still a guy that was a lot of fun to watch. He was a top-tier quarterback of the sport while he was in Columbus. Think to C.J. Stroud. Stroud was not the same type of athlete as Justin Fields. Stroud could utilize his legs to move the ball. He did, I believe, score a 50-plus yard rushing touchdown against Michigan State the year before he got the title of QB1. But while Stroud had the ability to move a little bit and be able to move and be somewhat of a dual threat quarterback, Fields was a ball placement specialist. And that's a phrase he gave himself. I don't know if it came from him or if someone gave that title to him. I heard it first from Stroud's mouth. A ball placement specialist. That was C.J. Stroud. Howard, McCord. Now, McCord is not a dual threat, but he can still move a little bit. Howard can't run like a deer. But Ryan Day said, we don't need that. We need you to sling this ball around all around the yard. And that's what he did. Well, Keaton Holtz is a dual threat, and I think the offense would have been a little bit different, and he would have been more of a wild card because you would have had to cater an offense and tailor it to Keaton Holt's skill set, which you don't normally do at Ohio State if you're a dual threat guy. If you're a dual threat guy, you dial down the legs, you crank up the arm talent, and you let things fall where they are going to fall. For Sayin, you don't have to reinvent anything. And think about how Jeremiah Smith is going to feel right now, knowing Sayin is a starting quarterback. where a year ago he had Will Howard, a fifth-year quarterback in college, did a lot of big things with a national championship, won a Big 12 title before that. I mean, Will Howard won some titles and won some trophies, but Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith had a special connection. Julian Sayin and Cardo Tate and Brandon Innes have a special connection already in practice. Max Clare is a weapon. I'm going to talk more about him in the very next segment in regards to some depth chart clarity that Ryan had provided just a day ago. I think for this offense, from your quarterback, you don't look at Ohio State and think dual threat guy. Oh, Justin Fields has a little freakish athletic ability. Let's go ahead and tap into his legs. No, it's all about the arm talent, accuracy, putting the ball where it needs to be every single time. That is what Ryan Day needs. While there is a new offensive coordinator in Brian Hartline, Ryan Day is going to say over and over and over, the Buckeyes are running Ohio State's offense. They're not doing something different to run Brian Hartline's offense. A year ago when Chip Kelly came in, yes, there was some creativity, but it was still Ohio State's offense with Chip Kelly's flair added to it. It wasn't Chip Kelly's offense coming in and learning everything new, which allows Sayin to be at Ohio State and not have to learn a whole bunch of new terminology and not have to go through things a little bit differently and not try to reinvent something. He's simply following the path that had been laid out before him. But what's special about Sayin is a big reason why last year was so great for Ohio State and the Buckeyes won the national championship is because of Judkins and Henderson toting the rock like they did, to the tune that both of those guys ran for over 1,000 yards in the Buckeyes national championship winning season. For Peoples and Donaldson, I am not going to sit up here and say that both of them are going to eclipse the 1,000-yard mark. That would be great. That would be huge. I'm not going to sit up here and say that. I will say this, though. Sayin can lean on those guys behind him in number 20 and number 12. He can lean on them, put the ball in their belly, and let that thing ride, because those two guys are going to make Sayin's job easier. Think back to Justin Fields' first year. Comes to Ohio State, redshirt freshman, thought he was going to be the guy in Athens. No, they leaned into Jake Fromm, and I completely understand why they made that decision. But Fields comes in, J.K. Dobbins is right behind him. He wasn't asked to do everything. All he had to do was follow the leader, which was Ryan Day, but also allow Ryan Day's creativity in the flow of the offense to help Justin Fields be the best quarterback he can be. And behind him was one guy that ran for 2,000 yards in J.K. Dobbins. So a year ago, Will Howard, 3,000-yard passer, maybe even over 4,000 yards. I don't have his exact number in my head, but I do know Henderson and Judkins combined for 2,000 yards. So those two guys eclipsed the 2,000-yard mark together. Dobbins did it by himself. So it doesn't matter if one guy does it or two guys do it. If you have two guys in your backfield that can tote the rock and move the ball on the ground over and over and over, it's going to make the quarterback's job a whole lot easier. So for Sayin, he's got to feel good about just following the leader, following the path that's already been laid out before him, trusting the guys behind him that he's going to put the ball to them so they can tote the rock and make his job easier by getting quality yards in the ground. But you still got to trust the five guys up front. In 2019, what did you have? A really good, solid offensive line. Last year, what did you have? Even with some moving parts, a solid offensive line. This year, you're not sure where the offensive line is going to be, but you believe that Ryan Day is going to figure things out, that the offensive line is going to be solid, which is another reason why Sayin ain't got to reinvent nothing. Just follow Day's path that's already been laid out and let the chips fall where they may. While he's let the chips fall where they may, Ryan Day is providing some clarity about the Buckeyes depth chart, and I have a good feeling you're going to like what he said about the guys that'll play against Texas in less than 2 weeks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football isn't far behind. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. The flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you still doubled your money. PrizePicks puts their members first. so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. This episode is also brought to you by DripDrop. If you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's workouts, long days on campus, or staying focused through back-to-back classes, hydration is where it all starts. And that's where DripDrop comes in. DripDrop is doctor developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. Right now, DripDrop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to DripDrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. That's DripDrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Make sure you go back and check out the extra episodes that dropped yesterday. We did one reacting to the news that Julian Sayin was named Ohio State starting quarterback, and then we also did one reacting to the odd proposal that the Big Ten has about having a 24 or 28 team college football playoff. If it sounds odd to you, it sounds as equally odd to me. You don't want to miss my thoughts about that. Go back and check that show out. Both of those extra pods came out on Monday afternoon. Ryan Day is in a very, I would say, pretty good spot right now when it comes to Ohio State. You have talent all over the place. You're going to have some new faces in new places, but you've had spring. You've had spring ball. You've also had over 2 weeks of training camp, 2 scrimmages that have allowed you to get a lot of data points about Ohio State. Well, you've had a lot of data points about Ohio State. You're also able to get some clarity about the guys that are going to play this year, especially those that are ready to play against Texas. And Ryan Day laid it out very quickly. He did say, before we go any further, in regards to the quarterback, Lincoln has to be ready to play. Now, he did not say there's going to be a 2 QB system. He just says, hey, you got to be ready to play. And with that, I think Link has to be ready to play, because what did you find a year ago? Will Howard goes down, he gets dinged up. Was it against Michigan State that happened? And next thing you know, there's a dart thrown by Devin Brown to Jeremiah Smith, and it was a touchdown. Well, if Devin Brown wasn't ready to play, it wasn't ready to go into the fire, in the red zone, well, you might be in a different situation, because that might not have been a touchdown. Or for Lincoln, you have to be ready every single day. Ryan Day did say that Lincoln is still going to get reps at the ones. I don't know how I feel about that, because you're going to have a redshirt freshman quarterback ready to go up against the number 1 team in the country, and he's going to lose reps to a guy that is a backup. Now, I also understand this isn't the NFL, where your backup doesn't get reps. Your backup quarterback in college will still get some reps, because a lot of times there's a game plan for them to potentially get onto the field. So he's going to get the reps there. But I think for this game, and I've said it before, you don't want to go into a game as a quarterback or a player and think, if I make one mistake, or if I throw an interception, or if I throw a touchdown but I hold the ball a little bit too long on the next drive, I'm in my head, I think, oh man, if I am a little bit tight here, I'm going to get pulled. That might not be the best for the mental state of the quarterback. However, as a backup quarterback, Lincoln Ken holds, you have to be ready to play. I understand for the starter and how they mess up your mentals, but you got to be mentally tough to play starting quarterback, 100%. And if that's you, constantly thinking, man, if I am uptight, if I make bad throws or bad decisions, I'm going to get pulled, you might not be the mentally tough individual, or as mentally tough as you need to be Ohio State starting quarterback. So Link, we're going to start calling him, it's still going to get some reps with the ones, but he's not good. There's no design package as of right now that has been announced that he is going to be a part of. Ryan Day also mentioned that they're comfortable with certain number of players at each position, at certain positions, being ready to play against Texas. He said they're comfortable with 6 to 7 offensive linemen, comfortable with 3 running backs, comfortable with 4 to 5 tight ends right now, which may be the deepest tight end room Ryan Day has had, comfortable with 3 safeties, comfortable with 2 nickel corners, comfortable with 4 cornerbacks, and then also comfortable with 4 linebackers. Ryan Day didn't detail who those individuals were. He simply laid out the numbers, and during the presser, forget who asked the question, but it was basically saying who was that third running back. And they said, I'm going to leave it up to Coach Lachlan, and was very smart and wise to say, I'm going to give you some numbers. I'm not going to give you the individuals. But I think we all know who the individuals are. Donaldson and Peoples, in any given order, one of those 2 guys are going to start. The third running back, to me, is Bo Jackson, and it has been Bo Jackson all offseason. I would be shocked if Sam Williams-Dixon has done enough already this offseason to, now, granted, he's older, but I think Bo Jackson's skill set fits Locke a whole lot better. You can be more versatile with Bo Jackson as being the traditional Ohio State running back. Those are the 3. Now, Ryan Day did say the question with the receivers is how deep is that room? Your top 3 are easily Jeremiah Smith, Cardinal Tate, and Brandon Ennis. I think Bryson Rogers is an easy 4. Mylan Graham is an easy 5. Is Quincy Porter 6? Has he jumped Desi Jones? I don't even think Desi Jones is a true X receiver. But is Quincy Porter, as a true freshman, ready to be your number 6? What's one thing you need to do as a receiver at Ohio State? You must be able to block and block well and go all out every time. Because if you can't block as a receiver, you're not going to play. That's Hartline's rule. That's not mine, but I buy into it and I believe in it. If you can't block as a receiver, why should I let you go out to catch a slant or to catch a go route? No, you must be able to block. The question is how deep. I think Ohio State's going to play 3, maybe 4, and that's it. Because, honestly, your 4th receiver is Max Clare. Max Clare is a weapon that, yes, he's a tight end, but he can play a lot of the same positions on the field as your 4th receiver would play. So I think that your 4th receiver, if you're combining the 2 rooms, I'll do it for the conversation because this is the show that I host and I make the rules, that Max Clare is going to be that guy. 4 to 5 deep in the tight end room. I think you easily have Max Clare, Will Kazmarek, Bennett Christian, Jelani Thurman. Those are your 4. The 5th is it Nate Roberts? Is it Max LeBlanc? I mean, that the 5th is a question mark, but I think your 4 are easy. I wonder if Bennett Christian has jumped Jelani Thurman. Jelani Thurman had a lot of promise written around him, a lot of promise, but they're waiting for him to put it all together. If Bennett Christian didn't mess up and make a boneheaded decision and get busted for PEDs, I think it'd be a no-brainer that Bennett Christian's a better tight end. But he missed an entire year for failing a drug test. You fail a drug test, there is a penalty. You have to deal with it, with whatever the penalty is, and then come back to the team. He did that. He paid his price. I think Bennett Christian is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I mean, next year, Max Clare's gone. Kazmarek is gone. It would be easy for me to say Bennett Christian is your tight end 1 while Jelani Thurman's on the team. I think that would be an easy statement, but we're not there yet, so we don't have to speculate that far in advance. 3 safeties, McLean, Hartford, and Downs. McLean and Hartford are going to play. They did not say which one's going to start, but I think that was kind of a no-brainer that those would be the 3 nickel corners. Here's the interesting thing. If you say nickel corners, is that Devin Sanchez backing up Lorenzo Styles Jr.? Is it Bryce West or Aaron Scott Jr. backing him up? Oh, at the corner spot, your 2, IGB and Jermaine Matthews Jr. Is that Devin Sanchez and Bryce West or Aaron Scott Jr.? Literally, like, those might be the guys that could be the 6 with those 2 spots. 4 at linebacker. To me, the 4 at linebacker are Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Peyton Pierce, and Garrett Stover. I believe those are the 4. I think 3 are going to play consistently. Garrett Stover is primarily going to be on special teams. But while Dad's providing clarity, I love that you're getting, there's one more note. I totally forgot. With the Buckeyes being comfortable with 6 to 7 offensive linemen, Ryan Day said that the Buckeyes are going to probably rotate on the offensive line against Texas. as much as I don't like rotating offensive linemen, this is like something that I never thought I would say. It worked in the playoff, especially against Texas. So if it worked the last time you played the Longhorns, you might as well try it again. It goes against the stuff that I believe as a football analyst, especially with this position. But while it's working and while Ohio State is trying to figure this position out, I understand why Ryan Day is comfortable rotating. Now, who the seventh offensive lineman is, I can speculate. Don't have a good handle on it. Could be Ian Moore. Could be Gabe Van Sickle or Jake Cook. I don't believe it's Josh Padilla. It's Philip Daniels or Nanwa. Daniels may be the starting right tackle, which means Nanwa is your sixth. And you're trying to figure out, is it Ian Moore, Gabe Van Sickle, or Jake Cook as the seventh offensive lineman? And being comfortable with 6 or 7 right now is great. Great. Just got to see who the seventh person is. Speaking of that seventh person and who it might be, that seventh person is going to help Julian Sayin accomplish the goal and the mission Ryan Day has for Ohio State's QB1 against Texas. We'll discuss what that mission is next. This episode is brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? OpenPhone solved that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more. Who's handling this? See why over 60,000 businesses trust OpenPhone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That's openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Ryan Day naming Julian Sayin the starting quarterback took a monkey off his back and allowed a lot of stress to be out of his body. Because I can only imagine what Ryan Day was thinking about when he stepped behind the podium, when he knew that there were some things he needed to announce about the quarterback and other positions that were going to allow him to breathe a little bit easier and allow his chest to not be so tight. But while his chest isn't so tight, it might start to get tighter the closer you get to the game against Texas, because it's #1 versus #3 in the season opener in the shoe. It is big noon. As you can tell right now, as I'm talking about it, I'm getting more excited. Well, I'm getting more hyped for this game. There's a quarterback that's preparing to play in his first start of his collegiate career. And Ryan Day laid out the mission for Julian Sayin so plain a third grader can understand it. It is this, quote, "Just win, baby. That's it," end quote. It's so simple. A third grader can understand it. And it's so simple, Julian Sayin understands the assignment. Quote, "Just win, baby. That's it," end quote. He is not trying to tell you, on third down, do this. On fourth down, do this. No. Sometimes there's a feel when you're out there on the field that even a coach in your ear telling you certain things may mess you up. You know what's going on the field. You feel it. You see it. You know the guy that's lining up in the nose ain't coming at you, but when coach sees it, he thinks he's coming and he calls an audible in your ear before the communication is stopped. And you're going to the sideline saying, he ain't going nowhere. I know what I'm reading. I know what I'm seeing. He ain't coming. Oh, you got this? Yeah, I know him. He is not coming. And all of a sudden, your feel for the game and your expertise and your flow every single step of the way is allowing Ryan Day to be more comfortable with the mission, which is simple. Just win, baby. That's it. Now, that is a simple statement to say. Beating Texas is no easy task. But here are some things that Sayin has to do. He can't think he has to do it all himself. If Sayin goes into this game and thinks that he has to do everything himself, from throwing the right passes at the right time, from getting 3 yards on 4th and 2, to making sure that it's making the right audibles and doing all of the line protections and sliding the correct way every single moment. While you have to do those things, if there is a mistake and somebody corrects you, that's okay. Mistakes aren't great. I'm not here to say mistakes are amazing, but you're going to make mistakes. Every quarterback does. And your favorite quarterback in Ohio State history made mistakes. I'm not even saying that they threw incomplete passes because that's expected. But what's also expected in this game is that Sand isn't going to be perfect. He is not going to. This is a massive learning experience for him. While it's a massive learning experience, he knows how to play football. Sand understands that, hey, when I get out there, I know it's 100,000 strong. I know that we're on national TV. I know it's Fox's big new kickoff. It's the biggest game of the day. All eyeballs are on me. And while all eyeballs are on him, he could just block out the noise, go out there and play football. Now, recently, my wife and I were watching the Little League World Series, and I don't know what country was playing, but I do know it was one that was not from the US of A because they were speaking a language I didn't understand. But this kid was actually speaking English, excuse me. I still think he was a foreigner. But there was a kid out there that was talking about, those Little League World Series interviews where kids get in there and answer certain questions and kind of have a little bit of fun just with the media before the big event. And this kid said when he's out there at home plate about the bat, he said all of the people in the stands are cardboard. He just blocks them all out. He goes out there and does his thing. And I just thought about the old school video movie. Was it D2 Mighty Ducks? It was the first Mighty Ducks and the second Mighty Ducks, and they basically bust everybody's bubble and said everybody in the stands, at least in certain shots, they were just cardboard cutouts. They weren't actual people. In my entire life, I thought they were actual people. They weren't just cardboard cutouts at certain games. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, that makes me a little upset. But I understand it. And I also understand a little man's mindset when he's looking at people out there in a new stadium on national TV. You're in a worldwide tournament. It would be very, very easy for you to look out there and see all those people waving. They got poster board out there with your name on it. They chanting your team. They're going crazy. You block out the noise. You literally find a way in your head to look out there and see nothing but cardboard people that are actually humans, but you see cardboard cutouts, and you go out there and play. If we're saying, you got to have that same mindset. Go out there and play. Even if they're your own fans, if you have to go out there and view them as cardboard cutouts to stay focused and have a tunnel vision, do that thing. Go ahead and do it because it's going to help you do what Ryan Day is asking you to do. Quote, just win, baby. That's it. End quote. It's easy to say. It's hard to do. But Sayin has to realize, one, you got to keep your eyes on the prize. And two, you don't have to think you have to do everything. You're going to make mistakes. The winning quarterback is going to be the one that bounces back the best way after making mistakes during the week 1 showdown. Thank you all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the portal because my guy, Brian Smith, he has latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. And Brian is also breaking down college football games during week 0 and during week 1 so you can get all the nerd notes you need to make the right pick and to get ready for a massive weekends of college football. You can follow the portal and Locked on Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.